Welcome to another episode of Decoding Crime and Cybersecurity. I'm your host, Rakesh Nayam, and today we have a truly special guest, someone who has dedicated his life to understanding crime, preventing crime, and keeping society safe. Joining me today is Dr. Shamir Rajadurai, a crime safety specialist with over a decade of experience in crime prevention and criminology. He is the co-founder of Prevent Crime Now, a leading practical safety and crime prevention program in Malaysia, and has trained over 150 corporations. Shamir is also a PhD holder in criminology and has certifications in CPTED, data science, and human trafficking prevention. He has been an international speaker and consultant and has worked with renowned organizations like PDRM, which is Royal Malaysia Police, Customs, and regulatory bodies. Today, we'll dive into the criminal mindset, discuss practical crime prevention strategies, and explore cybercrime and digital threats in the modern world. Dr. Shamir, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much, Rakesh, for having me. It's a real pleasure being on this platform and sharing, and also being together with you just to share a bit of information to the public.
Shamir, I find your approach to crime fascinating. You study crime not just from academic perspective, but also learning directly from criminals. Can you share how this unique approach has shaped your understanding of crime?
Well, there's only so much you can learn from books, right? And I'm not going to downplay by saying, education is not good. It's amazing. Formal education is amazing. It gives you the platform or the stepping stone to progress. But there's only so much books can teach you, because by the time a book gets published, a new crime technique is already out. So the best way to keep up with trends is to learn from the experts. And the experts are no other than those who are committing the crime. So I thought to myself, if I want to stay up to date on what's currently going on, I have to go straight to the source, straight to the experts, and learn from them. And that's what we did. Went down, sat with criminals and said, can you just teach me how you do your stuff?
That's fascinating. So based on your conversation with criminals, are there any common patterns in how they think and choose their targets?
Well, in terms of choosing a target, that always changes based on region. So if we are targeting somebody from the Asian region, even within the Asian region, how the target is chosen is different, right? So, but I think the common behavior is that the main thing that they are chasing is wealth, right? And they want the fastest way of achieving that wealth. But if we look at it, society has contributed a lot to make this wealth okay, because from young we are taught, work hard and you get a high paying salary. It's always about a high paying job. So what criminals have done is that they found a faster way to achieve that. But here's the thing you have to remember, being a criminal is a career. It is their job scope, it's their career path, right? Because first of all, you have to be extremely intelligent to be a criminal. If not, you're not going to survive. The more you do it, the better you get at it. The same thing with your job. You're in cybersecurity. The more you do it, the better you get at it. Same thing with criminals. The more they do it, the more they commit crime, the better they get at it. And what they do is to continuously refine their skill to be better and better, and to be up to date on what are the current trends. And that's the one thing I've learned from criminals, is that this is a career. Whether it's a good career is a secondary thing. But the thought process of Asians have always been, work hard, get a high paying job. This is a high paying job. So that's the approach to the whole thing.
Wow, that's an eye-opening take on the criminal mindset. Our listeners would love to know, how much do environment and opportunities influence crime rather than just intent?
Environment influences crime a lot, because one, if just say you're not around criminals, you're in an environment that is very safe, very protected, right? The chances or likelihood of you doing it would be very low. There's a theory which is very famous in criminology. It's called the life cost theory. It says that people commit crime because of the incidences in their life. So if I grow up in a neighborhood where crime is prevalent, so to me, committing crime is not the worst thing, because everybody around me is doing it. So the environment plays a big factor. if just say I grow up in a neighborhood where nobody commits crime and I commit crime, then it's going to be embarrassing for me, it's going to be embarrassing for my family. But if everyone is committing crime around me, it's not really embarrassing now to do it.
You've spent years studying crime at the grassroots level, right?
Yeah.
Could you shed some light on something you've learned from criminals that completely changed your perspective on crime prevention?
Yes, so one of the things I think that really changed my perspective is how intelligent they are or how well they understand human psychology. Right? So even if we look at, just say, doesn't matter physical crime or cyber crime, the understanding of psychology has to be there. If I'm going to scam you, for example, or I'm going to send you a phishing email, let's go to the basics. I'm sending you a phishing email. How I craft it, how I craft the email has to be psychologically appealing. I cannot just send an email, hey, click on this. Nobody's going to click. The whole process of it has a lot of thought behind it. So I think what I've learned from criminals, or what has changed my way of thinking, is the thought process and the details that go into it. For example, if you talk about fraud prevention, fraud is a huge thing now. Why is it that criminals are able to bypass the best fraud prevention systems? Why is it that they can bypass the best AI systems? It's because the thought process and how meticulous they are to it. No, one of the things that they have is attention to detail, and which a lot of people might not think of, and they know has to be perfect. And that's one thing. I think one of the things that's really changed the way I think or I view about crime is the work ethics behind it. So I think a lot of people forget the hard work that goes in, and I think we should be putting equally amount of hard work into it as well. Yeah, so the work ethics is one thing which I think is very fascinating for me.
You co-founded Prevent Crime Now, a program dedicated to practical crime prevention. What are some of the key takeaways from your training sessions that individuals and businesses should be aware of?
Well, a few things. When it comes to, especially we're talking about cybercrime, one of the things that we always have to be on top of is we cannot be thinking, oh, nothing is happening, I can relax. It's just a matter of when. So the one thing which I always tell corporations they have to do is they have to spend money on cybersecurity measures or cybercrime measures. Don't think because, oh, nothing is happening, we are all fine. No, we always have to stay vigilant. And for cybersecurity specialists and experts, I always tell them, don't think like a cybersecurity guy, think like a criminal. You have to look at your own work. You have to look at your own work and figure out where are the flaws in your work.
You've trained over 150 corporations. What are some of the most common mistakes people and businesses make when it comes to crime prevention?
So actually we've trained close to almost 200-300 already by now. But what interesting about it is that one thing that people need to always do is to consistently be vigilant, especially with the advancement of technology. Some companies are still very laid back because they say, no, we've not really implemented much technological advancement in our organization. But that's also the downside to it, right? We always have to stay vigilant. We always have to keep our assets protected. Everything is online now. Even the smallest data is online. If we don't take those proactive measures, we have to proactively always sit down and just put up more and more and more walls to prevent people from doing any sort of attacks towards us. The same goes with physical crime, the same goes with cyber crime. If we are going to be relaxed and thinking, no, my systems are the best, somebody is going to hack it.
Could you shed some light on how CPTED plays a role in reducing crime?
So what's interesting about CPTED, or for those of you who are listening in who are not familiar with what that is, CPTED stands for Crime Prevention Through Environmental Design, which basically talks that how you design a space physically is actually what reduces crime. So this leads more to physical crime compared to cyber crime. And what's interesting about that is, for example, you don't always only need to put security guards or CCTVs in an area to make it safe. But what you need to do is to make the place brim with joy so that whoever is in that area doesn't want to commit crime, or it makes it very difficult for people to commit crime, right? One thing you have to understand, criminals are not scared of CCTVs. If they were scared of CCTVs, there won't be any crime around, right? CCTV does help with finding the suspect or to analyze certain crime trends and all, but criminals are not scared of CCTV. So just say, I'll give you an example. Let's just say there's a certain walkway in an area and there are no lights along the street. So if I were to walk on that street at night, there's a high chance I might be robbed because it's dark, people cannot see me. But just say now, one of the easiest things CPTED talks about is lighting. So what kind of light should you put in the area, right? If you're going to put lights, maybe the one thing you should avoid are yellow lights. Those days it looks nice. Now you need white lights, make the area bright. So when people walk, they are visible. Yeah. So what it talks about lighting is that it should be bright enough to see and to be seen, both ways.
Right.
So that's one of the things about CPTED. Another thing it talks about landscaping. And there's the theory called the broken window theory that goes with it, which talks about if you don't maintain a certain area, right? Criminals know that they can commit crime there because they know no one in the area cares about it. For example, let's go into a corporation. Let's talk about it from a corporation sense. If the CCTV in your office doesn't work, if the front door in your office, the access cards don't work, so you have to manually open everything. Criminals now know you don't spend money on it, you don't care. When you don't care, they take advantage of it. So now if I break into an office like that, people might not care I'm breaking it. So that's what it talks about. It talks about the maintenance of it. It talks about the design of things. It talks about how to make a certain area lively. And like how sometimes you go into certain offices, you say, oh, I want to work over here. Such a nice setup. Like, I've been to the office. Beautiful setup. It's very welcome. But you also know...
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so you understand that, right? You walk in and it's amazing. So it has all of those things. For example, one of the things that the biggest problem they had for a long time is that people used to urinate against walls.
Right.
So what did that do? It shows that area that whoever walked by, first of all, it's going to smell very strong, right? It shows that people don't care. People don't care about the hygiene of the area. What happens? You will see crime in those areas will be there. Compared to an area where people have really taken care of their surrounding, everything is clean, everything is nice, crime rates are a bit lower because everyone cares. So it talks about the importance of keeping everything designed well and well maintained.